Hello, and thank you for checking out this bonus episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Catbus Russ. I'm your host, Catbus Russ, and I'm currently in my hotel in Muscatine, Iowa, trying to find a reasonable rate for Planet Funk Con, and as I found out, QC Fright Con. Lots of fun to be had, but I am really at a loss financially when it comes to energy because I left at home my W Jitterless Energy Blend, so I'm relying on energy drinks, which kind of sucks because this coffee fruit extract-based powder, complete with all the vitamins you'll find in a 5-hour energy, saves me approximately half of what I'd be spending on solely energy drinks or energy shots. With that said, if you'd like to get those kind of savings and an additional 10% off, visit w.gg and at checkout use promo code CatBusRust to save an additional 10% off your order. Knock off the energy drinks, skip the energy shots, and turn to W Energy, W Jitterless Energy Blend. And again, w.gg, promo code CatBusRust at checkout for 10% off.
Your cable TV is experiencing difficulties. Please do not panic. Resist the temptation to read or talk to loved ones. Do not attempt sexual relations, as years of TV radiation have left your genitals withered and useless.
Well, I'll be damned.
This podcast is protected under the laws of the United States and other countries. Unauthorized duplication, distribution, or exhibition may result in civil liability, criminal prosecution, and the wrath of the tall man.
Boy.
Hey, let's talk about you, the ID10T community events at ID10T.com, like Russ Stevens, a.k.a.
Catbus Russ,
who has started a podcast called 90 for Chill, which Russ says is dedicated to movies with a runtime between 74 and 99 minutes, the time frame that I feel is ideal. Russ, I could not agree with you more. That is a fantastic idea. Russ goes on to say there are times when you need a cinematic fix but don't have time for the latest Scorsese masterpiece or offering from a comic book universe. There's also times when you need a conclusion to prevent a binge costing you a whole night. My guest and I try to follow these guidelines as we chat up features that are definitely worth your time and are beyond easy to make time for. 90 for Chill, the podcast, can be found on all major podcast platforms at 94chill.com, and that's spelling out 90, Ninety 4 chill. So there you go. Thank you so much for sharing, Russ. Really great idea for a podcast. Events at ID10T.com for everyone else.
Los Angeles.
How's it going, Kim?
Without warning. Without mercy. They're killing cops.
My men are dying out there.
And only one man has the power to stop it. And now, law enforcement has a new weapon.
He's a cop, and he has incredible psychic power. How did you do that?
Oh, suggestion.
On the case against a criminal mind.
These men were imprinted with the command to kill.
Only one cop
Scanner.
can blow it wide open.
Since establishing the 1985 action movie Triple Threat match, I have probably seen more Richard Lynch movies by this point than David Carradine films, and I am definitely late to the Richard Lynch game. God rest his soul. I've continued that trend by watching Scanner Cop from 1994, a spin-off of the Scanner franchise. Of course, the first film was created and directed by David Cronenberg. This is by his producer, Pierre David. Cronenberg does get a writing credit for original story. It's also the first of the Scanner films that does not take place in Canada. It takes place in Los Angeles. And it's definitely got a fly-by-the-seat, barely recognizing permits feel to it. And it's about a cop played by Daniel Quinn who starts as the son of a scanner who has a bout with the cops and his landlord, which results in his death. But before he could go and kill one of the cops, Samuel goes and stops his father from doing so, and is virtually adopted by the cop he saved, played by Richard Grove. And after finding out what kind of experiments they want to do on the son of a scanner, they say no and just keep taking your pills. And that works until there is a series of cop murders by surprisingly innocent people, no rap sheets, and they're trying to figure out how could this be. And they're getting taunted by tarot cards such as the Fool and Death. And it ends up being a revenge plot by the character played by Glock, is what they call him, a former neuroscientist who's out for revenge against Harrington, who Richard Grove's character, who shot him in a attempt to stop a cult from being formed. Thus, if these cops are being killed at random by people who don't really necessarily know that they're going to be killing cops, dare I say Manchurian candidates, I shouldn't say dare, they say it in the film, how are we going to figure out whose brain is wired to kill? Thus, Harrington has to ask his son to stop taking his pills and start scanning anybody connected with the case. And things obviously can get messy if you know the first scene from the original Scanners movie. It moves at a pretty fast click, which I think kind of hurts it because we don't really get to know Stasiak's struggles, I would suppose, or just jumping from child to 15 years later being inducted into the police force. I really wish there was more depth to the character. His struggles are solely about trying to stop this cop killer, not the what is this going to happen to relationships and all that stuff. So I would have appreciated a little more depth in the main character. And as for the special effects, I like them. They're pretty practical. And actually, it's funny going through the thanks on the credits. A thank is given to Steve Listberger, who directed Tron. So just a weird little connection. But when it comes to the actual graphic violence, I figure if you're in the fourth film of a franchise, you're direct-to-video, it's time to just go all out and make some really horrific displays. So I think that's a miss on that. Richard Lynch delivers like Richard Lynch does. I want to make sure I got that name right by this point. I'm sorry. And I think all the other characters are pretty adequate, performed well. The only thing I'm disappointed with is Brian James has a cameo, and this is a guy you'd want to see as the villain. So it's nice that he got a paycheck. He's best remembered probably as the handler of Bruce Willis in The Fifth Element. He's also the Brit in Tango and Cash. So a lot of that guy moments for him. That was kind of disappointing. But as for the direction, it's pretty adequately directed for a 3x4 film. Nothing... I mean, as I say, the effects look fine. I just wish we would have gone for more gory displays. And technically, we only get one real scan that you see, but that's actually dirt inside a dream state. So it's not exactly the real, kind of a cop-out to blow up somebody's head. But no, that's just a metaphor, blowing up their head. I had fun with the film, but it's definitely not... I have not seen all of Scanners from beginning to end, to be honest. But I know there's a lot of intense moments. There's characters that, I mean, Michael Ironside is a great villain in it, and the struggles they go through. So it's about Scanners. Really, that film is about the Scanners themselves. This is about, what if a cop was a scanner? And there's not a lot for him to battle with, honestly. So we don't get the crazy ending that we get at the end of the first Scanners, and don't even think about asking for that. But, of course, on Tubi, they told me the plot of Scanner Cop 2, which is a rogue scanner. So that actually has a lot of potential. So I'll probably get around to that at some point. This is decent background noise. It's not going to hurt you to watch it. Just don't expect high art.
Little Hand says it's time to rock and roll. Bring the noise.
Thank Thank you again for checking out this bonus episode of I Dig Crazy Flicks with Cat Bus Russ. I've just concluded the first day of Planet Funk Con, and as I said, QC Fright Con. So it's an interesting setup. It kind of feels like what I think the Gateway building in Peoria on the riverfront, which I drove a lot of people to wedding receptions at back when I was at the Mark Twain Hotel. Kind of like, that's what I suspect that would feel like. I never got to go into the facility. Oh, if only I had the friends that invited me to weddings, I suppose. But I digress. So it's on 3rd Street in Davenport, and it's essentially same building, but it's not. So you got to do a walkthrough over 3rd Street with a bridge, of course. No, we're not. I don't think I used it, though. I think I did just take my chances with the crosswalk, and most of the time, the gentle folks of Davenport were very cool about, oh, it's a crosswalk. We'll let people walk. So I only got honked at once. And, that says I'm looked one way, looked the other way, looked one way, and then I saw that guy coming, and he's slowing down, and then beep, as I'm already halfway through the road. So, yeah, my mom was actually complaining about drivers, like, oh, nobody takes the time, your generation. And it's like, no, I think the people who take the time to, say, let somebody merge in are from big cities where you don't want to piss people off. Like in Chicago, it's pretty easy to get around with people. Like, yeah, we all want to get to some place, and when you're looking at a 45-minute drive to get anywhere in that city, and that's being generous, people will, like, no, we're in this together. And that was kind of fun. Actually, another conversation I had today at the convention was with the woman who, with her fiance, own a 3D printing shop primarily focused on Pokemon. I bought the Bulbasaur with the Vine Whip Pokeball from them at Indiana Comic Convention. And she was really cool. She's just kind of appreciates that it is slow on a Friday at this convention, I suppose. But, yeah, we just talked a little bit, and getting back to it. Well, yeah, she was bringing up the fact that, well, she's out of Wisconsin, and like, oh, I don't ever want to go to the West Coast, or I don't ever want to go to New York. And, me personally, I kind of want to go to the West Coast, LA, just to see the classic movie theaters that are getting reopened, Disneyland. New York City, yeah, I don't know if there's ever going to be a Broadway play to drag me out to there. And from the looks of it, the Poetic Critic doesn't think there's any in also, which is kind of weird. Her balking at the Book of Mormon, I don't know. It's funniest piece of satire since Blazing Saddles, or the most effective, I should say. And happy birthday, Mel Brooks. I know I'm a couple hours late on that. 100 years old, and geez, I don't even think Clint Eastwood's going to have a movie by the time he turns 100. So, don't want to say anything like that. Should back off on that. I've been extra careful after I've started the concept of a conspiracy between FIFA and Donald Trump, hence why the Australians were getting hosed on calls. And I would even say the same for the Panamanians. Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't play Panama, we played Paraguay. Too much VAR, and definitely working in our favor too much. I think we really showed our colors against... who did we lose to last night? Turkey. I'm not calling them Turkey A because the only reason people know that they're supposed to be Turkey A is because of FIFA. Yeah, no, you're Turkey. And then that's just a weird thing. Okay, why don't FIFA have us start calling the Italian soccer team, call Italy Italia, or Japan Nippon. I'm sick of this Americanized stuff, and I know the other nations do it. I studied a couple of foreign languages, but come on, people, we're not Ellis Island anymore. Ellis Island's gone, so okay. So yeah, sorry. it is kind of quaint in the Midwest, these cons. As I say, it was slow for her. As for why I'm at the convention, well, one, again, just getting something out of the way before I start my new job for a manufacturing company. This could be the one that finally puts me on the straight and narrow. As long as I was talking to my dad because we just got a new car for me. Subaru Crosstrek 2026. As basic as I can get. Fair price. Good job uthering. I think, I'm not going to say much about their service department, but I will say that that's just going back to my Nissan troubles in the winter, which kind of led to, we better replace this car. Never mind the 195,900 miles on it. See my dad's negotiating game. Damn. I mean, I would hate back in the day, he was a Caterpillar labor relations consultant, like the labor relation consultant, from everything I've heard. And I think he was able to get his picture over toilets at the UAW's restrooms back during the really troubling 90s. So Midwest is nice. Starting the new job on Monday. Gosh, it's going to be an hour commute on top of that. I was actually, and then I might be working under Brandy Stoneham. Happy Beeves Meow Meow, I think, was her Twitch channel she was starting up. Which, good. I guess her boyfriend works at the place and will probably be superior to me. Well, I would hope so. I'm new. But I mean, title and all type stuff. And the reason I bring up Beebs is because, this is a really chill con. I'm going to say that. And I will get to why I'm here, really. Aside from, I'm not going to be able to do any cons for the next 3 months. I could do Saturday, Sundays, hopefully. But who knows what my shift's going to be. And it could all go to trash. And I could miss a Clerks reunion. I guess they're doing it for the 20th anniversary of Clerks 2. That's why they're all coming to GalaxyCon Des Moines. So, okay. But, as I say, very chill. You can just walk around. No real huge lines for any of the guests. And so hopefully they're paying they've promised a good payout for all these. Because typically with these conventions, they promise that, or the con promises they will make so much money. If they don't make that money from autographs, they will reimburse the guess the difference. So so just walking around the floor, I came up into Brian O'Halloran, who's really cool. Very much like, I think it is just a thing with the View Askew guys, the Jersey boys of Kevin Smith, that they will just talk and have conversations. And this isn't Jay, and it's not Kevin Smith, so I could see why the line would be a little less. And honestly, I think more people like Randall than they like Dante from Clerks. No, he was very cool as he's chatting with those people who are trying to sell him on going to a haunted house that doesn't really use any licensed stuff. But one of the guys was a taller guy, and you could be a great Jason. Well, we're not doing that. Well, some kind of mass slasher, and wouldn't it be cool if just butting myself in like I do? Wouldn't it be cool if there was, just a slasher that looked like everybody else? And I said, well, wasn't that brought up in the Addams Family's? Wednesday, you're not dressed up. Yes, I am. I'm a serial killer. They look like everybody else. And then Brian was referring to me as the Captain because of the Captain N cosplay I was wearing. He saw the buttons. What are those about? Give him that for this convention, and he was very cool. I talked to him about the podcast. He had his suggestions, like, oh, you have to have an annual craziest thing you've seen. And I said, well, I do wrap it up at the end of the year. And then, like, oh, you got to have another. Shoot, I'm sorry, Brian. Thanks for the feedback. So, yeah, and, I was going to tell him about my plan for next June, which is something I'm going to have to keep bringing up just so I know I can deliver on it and not spoil it. So I got my pictures with him. Very cool. Like, oh, we need, and I told him, like, the only thing I haven't seen at one of my 6 years at the gas station was necrophilia. And he said, well, that's a good thing. And like his handler, well, have you seen a donkey show? And I said, well, that happened at a restaurant, so no. And I get to hear stories about how how Clerks, like, I gotta watch Clerks 2 again just to check things out. Like, he was explaining how they were really throwing off the neighborhood in California with this abandoned Burger King, how they started putting a playground out on one side, they had the donkey pin on the other, and if you look how you enter it, it's supposed to look a cock and balls. So I'm gonna have to catch that. But the thing with as I was getting autograph, I said, well, let's make it out to my friend Beebs, and I grabbed a 8x10 from Clerks the Animated Series. When we find they let the rest of the episode get finished by a Korean, the Korean animators, and I told them, well, basically, like, transitioning from Clerks 2, like, well, I do have the Porch Monkey story in wrestling, so a lot of people don't know that it's a racial slur, and I apologize for using it. And that's where I talked, and I got into this conversation with my hairdresser, Brandy, and she brought up, because she went to a Iron Spirit Pro show in Normal. So, hey, shout out to CJ, Nick. I don't know if Brett's there, but he wasn't there when I was there. I guess JP. Why didn't you book me for Sky Pro? Why would you question my credentials? Okay. So I had him, as we're talking about it, she was talking about how I've watched everything Clerks except Clerks 3. And and I said, well, that's a tough one to watch. I'm not going to lie. And it's not because of the quality. You can go back on I don't know if I've put it on this feed yet, so shoot. That's something to get taken care of. Geesh, why wouldn't it be on this feed? I'm slacking. Sorry. Because, I already jumped to with the 2023, so, yeah, I missed something there, so, alright, we'll get Clerks 2 up shortly on this regular feed. Okay, so, long story about how eventually it just came to, she said, oh, I even like the animated show. Like, if anything gets too exciting, we go and say, great big American party. And, and he was down with it. He signed it to Beads. Who's driving car? Bear driving. How that be? That's going to be the main story about it. So now, why did I go to Quad Cities Comic Con? Because surely I could have probably figured something else out for my last weekend of freedom. And this was kind of planned out. So I applied for panels, and then I get an email from Planet Funk saying, hey, we just want to make sure you're still available. If that has changed, let us know. We're trying to schedule all your panels. And then the last couple weeks I've been looking see what their schedule is. And here's probably why it's 3 days, because they don't have a lot of space to do panels. Alright, I'm giving them a break on that one. So they got two big exhibition hall floors for the vendors and the celebrities and the artists, and it's kind of all mixed up in a sense. But yeah, they have a maid cafe. So the schedule of things they schedule on their websites. The maid cafes in the Mississippi room. The Arkansas room is the panel room. Main stage is on the floor. Literally in the hallway. Like, at the end of the night, I checked out the video game cover band, Big Head Mode, at Big Head Mode QC on Instagram. I really would think you should get on Blue Sky, boys, but and girls. But yeah, because I'm very much you. If I post something and it's not a verse from the Book of Cat Bus, it is always going to be on Facebook and Instagram. Get the heck off of this, please. Save yourself the headaches of finding out all your old high school friends are assholes, conservatives, and otherwise it's all hate paid content that is shown on the on your feeds. So abandon it and visit at catbusruss.bsky.social. So yeah, they're doing that in the middle, and they basically said, like, look, this is supposed to be an additional ticket, which I did pay because I'm cool like that. So like just if you haven't paid, listen to the first 5 songs. We'll call that a sample, and then we'll all laugh at you as you walk away. So hopefully everybody paid, but that's kind of like they put it right in the open, and they're expecting $15 for it. Not a good move, QCCon. So with the lack of space, I was pondering, all right, there's got to be more rooms, right? Like, you can't just have a maid cafe, a panel room, which half of them are going to be celebrity panels anyhow, and the maid stage. So you have there's a photo op room, there's a maid cafe, which don't know if I'll check out or not tomorrow. They were very cool, though, introducing it, and man, I curious when they say the over 18s, you can't take pictures, but you will get Polaroids of you with the maids. Like, well, what are these maids and butlers doing? So that is intriguing, especially since there's no booze as far as I can tell, despite all the guests were seemingly drinking Modelo's. So getting back to it, so yeah, that's the Brian O'Halloran story. I got Biebs an autograph, and I got to hear there's the clincher. So I was saying, like, man, it's a pity that ABC didn't give you more episodes, because if you at least got 13, you could probably have made it like Family Guy or Futurama. He said, yeah, and we can make more episodes, but we can't use the same animation style, which that's Disney for you, I guess, since Smith has been working with Saban, which I think is owned by Disney now, Lionsgate primarily, so A24 for Tusk. So that's the Brian O'Halloran experience, and by the end of the night, I was passing by another, I only gave out maybe 15 buttons, and that's probably an overestimate today. We'll see how it goes when I bring out the Chuck Norris sign tomorrow and Sunday. Sunday's going to be pretty brief, though. They I'm surprised they let him have a concert till 10:15 tonight. And then I guess it's going to be interesting what the Nerdlesco is going to be tomorrow. So yeah, basically I'm just trying to save some stories for the wrap-up episode on Wednesday at our regularly scheduled time. Same bat time, same dot channel, all that bollocks. So as I'm passing by there, he's said, he had a video game and movie poster booth. And well, that's a cool cosplay. Well, thank you. And there's Captain N right over there. And so Matt Hill is one of the voice actors there. He's probably best known for Ed, and Eddie. So he's one of the Eds. And well, shoot, now I gotta go and introduce myself, see what I can do. I asked for a photo and autograph, but I think just how him communicating with his handler, who was handling pretty much everybody from Ed, and Eddie. So now I'm happy with the autograph. I'm happy to talk to him. And he was glad to talk about Captain N because it was his first job. So he was very cool. He asked me, "Do you want me to write a Kevin line down?" And it's like, have you watched it in the last... I know it was on DVD in the earlier mid-aughts. But, yeah, no, it's been a long time. But thanks for still representing it. So Matt Hill was pretty cool. And I just noticed everybody was drinking Modelo's, and I wanted to try to butt in and say, back from Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien on his... I think it was on his TBS show. Just trying to find out who it is. Conan O'Brien prop guy. Alright, yeah, Bill Toll. So, Rory and I still like to watch these videos of his, what they called, discount holiday ideas. Like, Cinco de Mayo. And they were talking about, because they're drinking Modelo's, and Matt Hill is saying, "Oh, geez, I'm kind of feeling it. Like, this is a real beer. Like, I usually drink Coronas when it's Mexican." And there was a Cinco de Mayo bit where Bill Toll says, all right, take your regular beer, pour half of it into a glass half filled with water, boom, Corona. So, and yeah, Corona was the beer that I liked drinking if I was drinking beer in my early 20s, which I wasn't. Corona, though, I thought was good. I also liked Ice House, so yeah, tells you my taste. But yeah, no, definitely not much body to a Corona. Alright, so otherwise the excitement, I did talk to a cool vendor. He was just, I don't know why he just randomly said, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die." And I said, "Stop saying that." And then he responds with, "No." And it's like, okay, man, you missed it. We had a conversation about, like, oh, man, I'm just so glad they haven't remade The Princess Bride. And I said, well, they can't, because William Goldman wrote that role for Andre the Giant. He said, well, no, there's plenty of guys. The guy from John Wick Chapter 3, big basketball player, and I said, no, and like, oh, how about Nash, the guy with Big Show? And I said, well, it's Paul White, and no, because it's not with Paul White's history as being the, oh, great, found food in my cushions at the Hampton Inn in Muscatine, across from the Casey's, down the road from the Walmart. So, alright, if that's the worst thing in a Hampton Inn, it would be nice if I could get the typical Hilton streaming services like other Hampton Inns I've been to. Again, I digress. You gotta have that, because the satellite, you can't rely on satellite. Okay, hotel talk, that's not what we're here for. So I had a conversation. Well, you can't remake Labyrinth. There's nobody who can replace Bowie. Well, you take it in a different direction, you cast Lady Gaga. So he seems like he could be fun talking with movies. I don't have my business cards from everybody else I chat with. A couple of authors. One of them got me to buy his vampire series, including a book about a 16-year-old vampire, a follow-up, because he meant to do it as a one-off, and then a spin-off from one of the characters in it. It's about a 16-year-old girl who's turned into a vampire, makes a deal with Satan to hunt vampires with a pack of demon dogs. So, 3 books, so we're probably looking at 900 pages for $40, fair deal. I'll try to get that information about him. But, we talked about getting him on the podcast, talked to another author over at the Quad City Fright Con across the street, which was fun. I will say this about the vendors. They are more, they're definitely people trying to make a place for themselves, coming up with new ideas. So it's kind of refreshing. Do I still want somebody like... There's no lightsabers, so that's kind of a strike against them. I mean, there's really, I'm a loyalist to Ultra Sabers. Like, they've got the best looking hilts, okay? The technology, yeah, everybody else is caught up and they're passing them. But, truth be told, I think I might not buy another lightsaber until I get back to Disney World again. So, give me the pomp and circumstance, and I'll figure out how to rework my, get my lightsaber update, to totally recharge, see if I missed up something on when it comes to turning it off. If I can get the batteries changed, a YouTube tutorial will do it. But otherwise, when I was across at the QC Fright Con, which I didn't know was included with Planet Funk, and I guess maybe it's just having a weekend pass. But hey, very cool. Sam Jones is doing autographs on that side, which I'm trying to think. Damn it, I don't have my Flash Gordon Funko Pop with me, because I didn't think I was going to be able to go to. Because I found out, same week. Well, and honestly, today is when I found out, and I looked at the website, and damn, Ken Foree and Sam Jones, and then, but, Sam, he's not dyeing his hair blonde, so it's not a total, Ted thing. He was talking, autographing that, I kind of can't bring it because of copyrights and stuff. So, and then I text Mom and my little sister and little brother, like, hey, do I go and bug Sam Jones about working with Timothy Dalton? Said, oh, no. Mom said, Ryan said, my little sister said no. My mom said, no, because, he got into a pay dispute, and that's why he's dubbed over in the movie. I think most of the movie, if not all of it, and I knew that was the case. That he was dubbed over, and that doesn't surprise me if it's a pay thing. My mom sent me a screenshot from what she was reading, and it, talked about the actor who played Goldfinger in Goldfinger, of course, and just looking that up, and Gert Frobe played the titular villain, Goldfinger. His dialogue was overdubbed by actor Michael Collins because of his thick German accent. Yeah, I knew that one too, and Ursula Andrews, I think it was the first, the first Bond girl. I know she was. Just hoping I got her name right. Probably not. All right, Ursula Andress. No, she didn't speak a lick of English, and you see that a lot with all the old James Bond movies. I think. The actor who played Shinzo Tanaka. There's a blood sport gag, honestly. He was overdubbed. I think most of the Japanese actresses were too. So, that's that is what things were at the time. What can you say? So. Never mind, I watch a lot of Italian giallo, and Italians don't shoot with any sound. They put it all in post, so, actors will just speak to each other in their native tongues, and then they'll redub it accordingly. Watch Suspiria, and see Udo Kerr have a conversation with... No, I'm sorry. It's killing me, but that I keep going to my phone, and it's like, oh, Russ, you're talking on a computer. Why don't you just, I don't like typing the keyboard. What can I say? Suspiria. Jessica Harper and Udo Kerr had a scene together, and Jessica's speaking English, Udo's speaking German, so... it is fun that Udo did get to come back, because he says it on the special features for Suspiria, hey, I could do another... Dario, get me another job. And he's in the last of the Three Mothers trilogy, Mother of Tears, which I kind of dig. I mean, it goes there, and even for Argento. I'm not saying it's his best quality-wise, but it's fun to see him just make a gory movie for the sake of it. Okay, so but I'm hearing all this stuff from Sam Jones because I'm actually just got myself in the queue, I suppose, for Ken Foree. And again, he's just talking to guys ahead of him, like ahead of me, and just talking. I think you could probably get away with not getting an autograph from these guys. That's how cool things are here. So Ken Foree from Dawn of the Dead, From Beyond, every Rob Zombie movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, he's a stamp of approval, And honestly, with Rob Zombie, Halloween ages worse every time you think about it. But, I mean, I think more just like, some would say we didn't need to know what the shape was like, how the shape became the shape. And then, just not really great looking violence, I suppose. Just mean violence. And I know, not to say Jason was, Michael Myers was ever nice, but Michael Myers was just acting how Michael Myers was supposed to act. It's not, brutal. But yeah, Rob Zombie experiments. So I think, dare I say, probably every Rob Zombie movie is worthwhile. He's the Michael Palin family from Every Sperm is Sacred. So when it comes to horror. But yeah, I got an autograph from Ken Foree, and he had these big, recently printed out, near poster size, definitely bigger than the 11.5 by 17s I typically like. Oh man, can't you do smaller? But got him to autograph that. He was very cool. Just him, kind of a solo poster for him. He said they just got those printed a few days ago, and I got the top one, so it's kind of worn a little bit right now. But yeah, just him, focused on him, and he's got a shotgun. And I didn't pay close enough attention because there is he was selling also a comic book which follows up what happened to the survivors from the original Dawn of the Dead on 1978, I believe it was. So, he was in the James Gunn pen Zack Snyder breakout movie, Dawn of the Dead 2004. I'm just not into running zombies. The undead don't run. That's what Jim Jarmusch should have called his movie. Not the dead don't die, the dead don't run. Okay. Yeah, so, and I will say, I will try to save everything from the Big Head Mode concert, my comments there. Let me see if I have anything else. No, I think, I'll talk about their sets probably come Wednesday. But they were a lot of fun. Yeah, I will leave it at that so I can do my review later. But, yeah, we'll talk about that in a few days. So thanks for checking out this. Thanks for Planet Funk Con just being so much fun, so chill. Kind of forgives you for dragging me along. Like, oh, we're going to schedule all your panels, and no, you don't have any space to schedule my panels. And I checked, I went and checked the QC Fright Con schedule, and no, I'm not supposed to be there, so, but, so, I don't know if I'll apply next year, but, hey, this is a good one for the fans. That much I can tell you. So, thanks, Planet Funk Con, for being a thing. And yes, as I was talking to, I guess my friends now, after running into to her back in Quad Cities, Indiana, and now here, I know Quad Cities again, but the last 3 cons I've been to, yeah, I just said I'm just gonna bite the bullet and start making some merch and get a table to keep the promotion going. So, with that said, if you want to help the podcast out, first off, rate and subscribe on your favorite podcast apps, 5 stars preferably. be as honest as you like in the comments. So passive-aggressive criticism, I'm cool with it. You can sign up for the I Dig Crazy Flicks Patreon. That's patreon.com/IDigCrazyFlicks. Right now, we're looking for $3 a month. $3 is going to get you ad-free podcast. Shout out on each episode as long as you're subscribed. So thank you, Tim Bates. You can find him on episodes about Night of the Demons and 1989's Bloodsport in Space Arena. Thank you, The Scoop Staley. No, I have not yet, and I will. Scoop Staley's a good-looking guy. I gotta pay him respect. So I will watch the AEW Collision from Peoria May 2nd. See ya hanging out with Tony and Nigel. And thanks, Dad, for so much this week. It's just great knowing that you've really embraced my efforts. You will also, besides some shout-outs, you'll also get yourself either a waterproof sticker or a refrigerator magnet. And access to the original 90forchill.com, the podcast feed, so you can determine if I've evolved as a podcaster, hopefully. And but the best way to help the podcast out is come on the show and be a guest. Just offer me a film, a director, an actor, a theme, as long as the subject matter is off the walls, bonkers. I'll happily chat with you about it. That was a challenge that Brian brought up, and I said, man, it's probably between Shredder Orpheus and Daisies. I brought up Arnold, though, which is another good one. Just basically, look, I watch a lot of Vinegar Syndrome, so I should have brought up B-Fest. But hey, Brian O'Halloran, if you want to come on the show, greatly appreciated. So if it's crazy, I'll happily talk about it. If it's, down to earth, like Richard Linklater, I will give you Dazed and Confused. I will not give you Boyhood. Because, come on, 100 minutes, and I think Linklater's proven to be a success. I'm not up for 3 hours of experiments, I suppose. All right, so without anything else to come to immediate mind, thanks, Station Marie Harden, for keeping an eye on me, keeping me out of too much trouble, and I hope you're doing the same for everybody else you touched in your life. You are my inspiration, and I hope you are cuddling a lot of ectoplasm out of Skimbleshanks, the one-eared angel. So thanks for checking out this podcast, and I will see if I will be back sooner than later. Thanks again. Thanks for listening to 90 for Chill. I Dig Crazy Flicks, home of 90 for Chill with Cat Bus Russ. Have a good night.
Can I hear a wahoo?
This podcast was made possible by the love and support of Dave and Cindy Stevens, Rory Stevens and Allison Higgins, Danny Daniels, and Stephanie Smith.
Long live Flash! You've saved your Earth. Have a nice day.